Say friends, Josh here with Ted. We're going to walk through the Gemini setup. Ted actually has a Gemini 2 in his hand, but this is the same setup for the Gemini 3 as well. You'll note that we have this nice two-tone stuff sack. Why two-tone? Well, we'll tell you why. Ted's pulling out the fly, which you'll notice is green, just like there is a corresponding green side to the stuff sack, and the gray tent bottom of the tent body itself. If we look inside of the stuff sack, you'll notice that it actually has a divider on the green side and the gray side. The idea here is that when you are putting your tent away after use, oftentimes the fly is wet. So you want to be able to keep that separate from the tent. It allows you to do so, keep them separated, keep it just a little bit drier. So the other thing that we've pulled out of the stuff sack here is the organizer. It comes with all Exped tents. You'll notice this way it allows you to keep your poles, stakes, and the repair kit separate. Don't get all tangled up. You know where to find them. It's just a little Exped feature that we like to do. So poles are out, stakes are out. You have a full set of stakes that comes with it. Don't really need all of them that comes with it, but you have the option, so you have the ability to stake out a little bit as needed. So we're going to go ahead and get this party started. Ted's going to go ahead and set this out. You'll note that this is going to be a pretty quick setup. These tents are very easy, very fast to put up, even with one person. 4 equal length poles on this tent. That makes it really easy to figure out which pole to use because you can use any of them. You'll notice here that the pole sleeve is actually numbered 1 through 4, so it makes it really easy to know how to go ahead and insert the poles. Continuous pole sleeves as well makes it really easy to put these poles in the tent. Also gives it nice, even, and taut tension across the tent body. So he's got the first one in. Second one is going in now. You want to make sure that when you're putting these poles in too, make sure they're seated all the way at the edge of the pole sleeve. You know, it's this little kind of nylon boot at the end of it. Just make sure that you push that thing all the way to the ends. It's going to make tent setup a whole lot easier. So now we're going to go ahead and put in poles 3 and 4. This is a very distinct and unique pole structure on the Gemini series tent, the 4 equal length tents. One of the things that's pretty interesting about it is that the poles, instead of going in from the bottom of the tent body and upward, going upward into the ceiling, actually start at the ceiling and go downward to the floor. It gives you a high entry point, it makes it easier to get in the tent, and also makes it a little bit easier to set up as well. So now you see that all 4 poles are in the tent. So what we're going to do now is take those poles and put them into the hub structure at the top here. So 1 and 2 go into the hub. Easy. And we're going to see 3 and 4 here as well.
There's the tent.
And as Ted points out, there is the tent. It is set up. You know, if you're using it for fair weather use, you're ready to go at this point. You know, you'd stake out the corners, obviously, but it is freestanding. You can move it around at your campsite and figure out what you need to do. We are going to go ahead and pretend that the sky is getting gray. It is gray. And go ahead and put the fly on so you can see what that looks like.
You might note the red color.
So, yeah, as Ted points out, one thing that's really good to point out is that the points here on the fly are color-coded. So you'll notice that you've got red straps that correspond with the red strap on the tent body and gray on the other side. So when you're putting the fly on, you just want to make sure that you've got the right end on the right end. The other thing that we're going to show you here too, so when you put it over the tent itself, there's a little toggle. You want to take that toggle and go ahead and run it over the pole onto the little nylon loop on the other side. So we do it here. And I'll do it again here. And the reason for this, as you'll see here when Ted's done, is it gives you tension across the top of the fly. This makes sure that it sheds rain really well. It also helps with the condensation on the inside of the tent as well by giving it a lot of space, as Ted shows you. So that works quite well. Again, so here I'm going to go ahead and snap that fly to the tent body. Again, showing you that color coding so you know which side is which. Just get it in here tight so you can see the detail. Very easy. Ted's going to go ahead and do that on the other side. The fly is now attached. Now we're just going to do a little simple staking out. Again, note that we're doing the full-blown foul weather setup here. Generally speaking, you will probably just be putting up the inner tent and adding the fly as needed, which makes it a very quick pitch. But even if you're going for a full storm setup, it does go up very quickly and very easily, even with one person.
Let's take this out and then I'll show you the guy outline. Take this one right here.
And we are staked. One thing that we're going to point out to you, now that you've seen what's staked, we'll untension this for just a moment and point out one detail that's important to know. You'll know that there's this loop that runs around where the two poles intersect on either side of the tent. What this means is that when you are guying out the tent, as Ted kind of shows by putting some tension on the cord, you're actually guying directly to the pole structure, not just the fly. This is a much, much stronger setup. You'll notice that there's a port that goes through the fly, so when you are actually guying this tent out, you're guying directly to the structure and not just fabric. It makes it a much, much stronger setup, a lot more stable in kind of foul weather, high winds, etc. That's a pretty important feature, and it's something that you'll find on all Exped tents. Just going to tension one out so you can see what that looks like. You'll notice that the little stuff sacks at the cords fold in, also double to make a little flag so you don't trip over them when you have it set up around camp. And we'll go ahead and set up one of the vestibules here as well. This will actually give you a good idea on how much space there is, vestibule space there is here on the Gemini series tents. It's very generous. There's a lot of room in there. And you have one on either side, since there's two entries. So you have a lot of additional space to work with. Open it up, Ted. Just take a quick peek inside there. But again, lots of space. And that is the setup of the Gemini 2 and of the Gemini series tent. Hey Ted, thanks a lot.